Hello to my fellow history lovers, people that think if I learn something new, it'll be a great day. I'm author Eileen Schnabel, author of the Kep Westgard Time Travel to the American Revolution series, and I've got one question from the American Revolution about famous women, and I only did one because the story is fascinating behind the question, and supposedly this is an easy level. This is student, the green level. I don't necessarily think this is easy. I didn't know her story and wouldn't have known the answer. Let's see if you do. Number one, did Mad Ann Bailey help the Patriot cause by being a skilled nurse, scout, or soldier? The answer is scout, but what a story she has. So I looked her up, and basically she does it kind of out of revenge, and she's called Mad because of what follows. So her husband is killed at the Battle of Fort Pleasant, and this gets interesting because there's sort of tragedies on both sides. It's a Shawnee party led by a man named Chief Cornstalk, and his own story ends up quite tragic as well. But her husband dies, and she, goes mad is the story, and she leaves her son. She only has one son, and she leaves him with a neighbor, and she starts dressing in men's clothing and becomes this amazing scout. And just to give you a few of the details, her goal was to create an early warning system for the frontier and actively seek out signs of advancing Shawnee or Mingo war parties to warn frontier families before an ambush could occur. It says she wore basically men's clothing, right? Thick buckskin leggings and a heavy coat, and traveled heavily armed, carrying a long knife, a hunting rifle, a long rifle, a hunting knife, and a tomahawk. And these rides that she would take included massive circuits through unmapped territory, including grueling 240-mile loops through Virginia to track threats and relay troop data between frontier forts. She also learned the art of evasion. She learned to hide her horse's tracks, build silent fires, and sleep hidden in the brush. According to frontier lore, she once escaped a pursuing Shawnee party by abandoning her horse and hiding inside a hollow log until they passed. That we'll get into some future Kep Westgard adventure. And lastly, this was really quite interesting because what a couple, right? Her second husband, John Bailey, had been part of the legendary groups of frontier scouts known as the Rangers. And after they were married, the two frequently rode and operated as a scouting team out of Fort Lee, which is in modern day Charleston, West Virginia. I mean, what a story, right? Drop those two into that Survivor show and they would have made it. So then I want to tell you though, there's tragedy for her. She loses her husband, her first husband, but there's also quite a tragic story with Chief Cornstalk. So let's talk about him next. So he had been part of the war tribe, but when the Revolutionary War came, he was a strong advocate for the Shawnees staying peaceful and neutral, a strong advocate. But his story takes a tragic turn. So he goes to Fort, what was that? Randolph. And he wants to actually warn them of a possible attack, of British-aligned Native American attack. And he also told them that honestly, he was proposing Shawnee neutrality, but he couldn't promise for every Shawnee that they would follow his idea. Well, what happens while he's there, they actually take him hostage and end up taking his son hostage as well. His son comes to say sort of what's happening with my dad, and they take the son hostage as well. So Cornstalk, his son, and I think there was maybe one other person there. And then the tragedy unfolds as follows. So another soldier is killed by an unknown warring party, and the community is outraged, and a mob actually goes into the fort, and it says specifically, on November 10th, 1777, an enraged mob of militiamen murdered Cornstalk and his son in the fort. So it really out of this sort of vengeance. So I guess I'll just finish by saying you cannot study war without advocating for and being grateful for peace. Thank you for letting me share. I'll see you tomorrow.